This is ACOFAE. Laura Marie and Jessica Marie proudly present A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, a podcast. Fair warning, everything the hosts say is explicit, full of spoilers and adult content and shall not be used against them. They have opinions. Let's try not to drag anyone for expressing themselves and just have fun for an hour. We all deserve it.
This episode contains spoilers from Heir of Embers and Ash by J.M. Wallace with mentions of Tangled and The Mummy. For full list, please see show notes.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, your weekly deep dive into the fantasy, literature, and fandoms that we love. I'm Laura Marie.
And I'm Jessica Marie.
And today we are welcoming back a very special guest and our friend, J.M. Wallace.
Welcome back, J.M.
Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me back. I'm so excited. I'm J.M. Wallace, a fantasy romance author of several titles. Most recently,
you're like, where do I start? I'm not good.
I know people have been asking me, how many books have you written now? And I'm like, and
it just started off where you're like, I want to write a book before I'm 30. And now you're like, I can't stop writing.
Yes, no, I actually can't stop. So Heir of Embers and Ash, Claiming Elfhame 2 just came out on audio. So I'm excited.
Which is so exciting because the last time you were here, because this book has been out for some time traditionally and physical copies and ebook, but it was this summer that you had Aladdin, your narrator from book 1, back. And did she have a break? Did she just start recording everything through because we got the first book and now here we are in the second book for Heir of Embers and Ash? And like you said, she is Kelera.
Yeah, I don't know if she sleeps, honestly, because her production, I can't stop writing. She has been just recording nonstop. Not just my stories, but all these amazing authors are working with her because she's fantastic. And she is quick, which I love because I don't like to wait. A lot of readers don't like to wait. And as you guys know, by now, I do kind of like a cliffhanger. So
that's what we were saying. We were like, I started book 1 again. And I go, oh my gosh, she left it on a cliffhanger. And I go, wait, that's right. I'm going to read book 2 right now.
Yeah, you can just roll right into it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so I am thankful that she was able to fit me in so quickly because I'm like, okay, can we? And I've already sent her book 3. So she has that in her hands now. And hopefully by, I think, the beginning of the new year, we'll have that out.
That's so fast. Neither of you rest.
No, that is absolutely incredible. Of course, we love the traditional. We love the audio. It is an amazing ride. Book 2, been out for a while, but new to us because we're audio girlies. What can you tell us about the writing process for book 2? Was anything different from book 1? Was everything kind of the same? Were you just on a vibe? I know you're writing quickly. Everything's very busy. And I know this was out a while ago. So what can you remember from that process?
So I do know that when I'm writing a series that a linear, we're on one journey with one couple, I do a big skeletal outline. So I have the 3 books laid out in front of me and I have all of the major plot points for overall, for Kelera's arc, and then for each singular book. So it was fairly easy to roll right into, and I started writing it as soon as book 1 went to my betas. I was drafting book 2 and then I went to the editor and I was editing book 1. So, it was a very smooth process with this one. I did, because sometimes I do read my 4-star reviews. I never read my my 1 and 2 stars, maybe a 3 once in a while, but I do like to look at my 4-star reviews and see because they're nicer on the criticisms there. So I can take it.
Where can I get that extra star? When you go from an A-, yes. You're like, where could I have gotten to that A?
Yes. And I think one of the big things was that people wanted a little more of a faster pace. and so I tried to do that. It was easier because the romance we were like in the blossoming stage of the romance. So it was easier to pick up the pace a little bit. And it was just a lot of fun to really give them their time to shine.
Well, the pacing is great. I mean, you pick up right where book one ends, and you know that they're on this journey. You know where both Kelera and Dress are in their relationship, because it's like the relationship is established, but it's also like one of y'all is in denial and the other one has never been in denial, and we're just waiting for you to catch up.
Yes. I do like that. And I like a he falls first sort of, more of a, he was like, let's get this like ball rolling. Let's
Yeah, and he's so patient with her. He's like, "Oh, I forget. Like, you haven't been exposed to any of this because you've kind of had to keep yourself in this confined box of societal expectations based on mortal expectations." And she's still having to unlearn all of that after 20 years.
Yes. And that's why I did take that we went on our journey into like the summer court and stuff, because I felt like it was a good opportunity. Like, obviously there is danger. There are like, people are after them. Things aren't going great, but putting them in a setting like the summer court really gave them a chance to kind of relax for a minute as we went from like the terrifying end of book one, things were going really bad. And then we know things are gonna go bad again. So it was nice to give them like one little breather, however quick, in a place like the summer court where, there's like, it's a fishing village. They're honeymooning on a honeymoon at this point. So it was a nice, I wanted to give that to them before I ruined it all.
Took it all away.
Before I
They're kind of crazy.
But that is a huge theme throughout this book, though, is like finding happiness and finding peace in small, stolen, like little moments, and really being present and appreciating what you have like right in front of you. Mm-hmm. I thought that was a really fantastic kind of like thread that was woven in through here too. Because Kelera can get very in her head, and she can get very like, oh my gosh, like I should have been doing this, and like I should have been learning like tactics. Obviously, I should have been learning tactics. Like, what was I doing? Why was I like relaxing and doing things? But we are pulled into like, no, dance with me and really like feel and relax. And I love that as it runs kind of parallel with the self-acceptance that we have throughout this book, which of course, I love that. I love that. And as you were talking about the summer court, it got me thinking, we are really expanding and opening up our map in this book too. What was that like? Like really, because we have our world, we have built our world already, but now we're really kind of pushing our limits and expanding. Was that like fun? It seems like it would be very fun.
It was. Before I even started writing book one, I had like kind of like four-squared each of the parts of Elfhame. And so I was putting like just tiny little characteristics, and it did develop as I was actually writing, but I already knew that I wanted this to, especially the summer court, because we go from winter to summer, and I wanted it to contrast greatly to show really just how different and how like divided all of these courts are in Elfhame. So it was a lot of fun. I really I think I would love to vacation in the summer court with like the pretty houses and the, going to like, the little beachy tavern where all the windows are open and people there are much more comfortable and relaxed, which also helped because I wanted to contrast the way the Seelie court is ruled versus the Unseelie, where people are a little more cautious, like a little standoffish, I guess, because of the way the royals rule their court, except for the village where Adrastus frequents because he's a little different than his family. So yeah, so it was fun. It was challenging too, which I also enjoyed, because trying to get that contrast and have everything be unique.
What do you think was the most, you said it was challenging. What would you think it was the most challenging part of this book, considering that the world had already been built? Would you say this was it?
Honestly, I think it's it was the politics and coming up with like what Samael, his plan is and how he intends to like accomplish his goal, because I have never taken over a territory or a country before. So I was like Googling a lot. I was calling my dad a lot. My dad's ex-military. And I was like, what would people do? Like, what would a villain do if he wanted to like alienate people? And it was fun.
And how he played like Samael was like playing everybody against each other.
Yes. And doing that, it's very challenging. Villains are very challenging, but they're also one of my favorite things to write. So,
oh, that's so fun. So while we're kind of like we're touching on the world building here, I have a thought. My thought is, while we are traveling with Kelera and Drax throughout our summer court, where we're trying to get to spring, we meet a lot of, I'm not going to say monsters, because that's not what it is, creatures. We meet a lot of creatures, and some of them are known to us, like sirens, and some of them, like our sandwich, were new to me. How fun! Were there like specific like figures that you really wanted to have in your story that were like, yes, I love this story, this figure, this like pillar in the myth, in the world. I really want them in my story. Or were you just like, you know what? Like, I'm letting these characters go on this journey and they stumbled upon this. Wow, surprising.
Yeah, it was a mix of both. I've always loved like the Wild Hunt.
Yes.
I love the lore behind that. I like to take lore that already exists and try to twist it to fit within like my own worlds. So the Wild Hunt was a lot of fun. The Guardians, that wasn't planned. That just came about because I was already using the Wild Hunt. And then when we met them, they just kind of decided for themselves that that's who they were. As far as like the bounty hunters go, I enjoyed being able to use like the elements in the scenery, I guess. Because I didn't plan to have like a sandwich, but like we're running in the sand for a very long time, running for our lives. So having someone pop up out of nowhere was just like perfect.
Did you know about sandwiches before writing them, or were you like, is there a being in lore that would make, like, what was that Google search like? Or because you also shared with us that there was a lot of, mythology that your grandma had shared with you growing up. So I didn't know if this was part of that or if this was just like, so we got to do something here that makes sense.
That one was just, I was in the moment and I was like, well, if she's coming out of the sand, she's got a stinger. Like, we're going to give her like a scorpion type of like vibe to her. I guess maybe like thinking about it, maybe it was like the Mummy inspired, because I really love those movies. And things that I watched and loved when I was younger tend to creep in when I'm trying to like imagine some sort of like character or scene or something like that. Yeah. And then the one that they meet in the spring court who feeds on like fear. She also just, it just felt right. I don't know. Some of these just like I'm not really sure where the inspiration came from. I just, in my daydreaming mind, I'm like, this would be
well, it goes so seamlessly with the story that you wrote. And so it never, like, it just feels like, oh yeah, of course that would happen. That makes sense. Like, this is, because it's book 2. We're on this journey. These journeys are never going to be seamless, especially when you have like, they're going forward with one goal in mind with the bad guys behind them. And it's always about trying to be 2 steps ahead of being chased and being made, essentially.
Yeah.
And then even when we come across the Guardians, unbeknownst to them, they're they have their awareness up, and then there's a moment of doubt where they go, are they going to help us?
Yeah.
Or are they going to, we don't know these people. We just met them last night. We really don't know. It's kind of us against the world and a level of trust that neither of them are used to having with other people.
Yes. And that's why I really wanted to add something in there where they did have to work with someone, and it might not be who they expected. They have to really kind of trust each other, that they have each other's back. So if if trusting the Guardians did backfire on them, they're trusting that they can keep each other not safe, but that they've got each other's backs in that situation. So, and actually this is meeting the Guardians in the tavern was inspired by the Tangled scene.
I was going to ask that. I said that. I was like, this is reminding me of the Ducky Club.
The Lucky
Pub.
Ducky.
The Lucky Ducky Pub. And I was like, I don't know if, I'm not going to bring it up because I didn't know if you'd be offended to feel like that wasn't where it was pulled from. So to hear you, this is so validating.
Yes, I love that song. I was because I listen to a lot of music like in the shower.
I have a dream.
Yes, it was that song came on randomly. I have kids, so sometimes when I shuffle, it's Disney and it's like Hosier. So you never know what you're gonna get. And that one just happened to come on, and I was like, oh yeah, we're going to a tavern for sure. We're gonna find unlikely allies.
And it's so fun because they're like, oh, we're really rough. And then they're like, we're going to go. And they're like, we're sorry. It's been a really long time. We don't know how to make friends. Please be friends with us.
Yes, because they've just been with each other, like a bunch of men just like camping in the woods for who knows how long. So they are rough around the edges, but that just makes me love them more. I really love them. They're probably my favorite characters in this book.
And such big softies, right? Mm-hmm. Because there is a very sad moment where they're down one of them. Yeah. And it wasn't even that they were that sad. It was just like, oh, we'll see you again. You're going to do the cool thing that we all want to do, which is join the Wild Hunt. Yeah. Like they're so sad, but also thrilled for their best friend.
Yeah, that was really important to me, especially because the nature of Elfhame, it's there's no permanence. Everything's always changing, and you just evolve. I mean, because it's magic. It's, and having this idea that even though they've just lost someone that was essentially a brother to them, they can accept it. They grieve. They did what they needed to do, and they know that it's never goodbye. It's not the end, because the possibilities in Elfhame are just endless. So,
well, and that's our found family that we have, and we love that button. Okay, Ragnar, we love it. Let's talk a little bit about our argument where we run through the woods. Then go. Okay. And we're running through the woods, and we go back to the human world. Let's talk about the transition from Elfhame, which Kelera has really grown to love and appreciate and accept herself there, and seeing kind of a future for herself there, and then being I'm saying forced. No, she goes back to the human world and is confronted by a lot going on there. What was that like? Kind of it's like a stark kind of transition there, but it's also all right, how is this gonna go? And then we see, my goodness.
Yeah, I feel I really needed her because she, throughout the first half of the book, she's thinking where does she belong? She doesn't know. She wants to say it's Elfhame, but she can't bring herself to do that. She cannot let go of where she just came from. So I felt she really needed to be thrust back into the human realm. She needed to really open her eyes in a painful way. So then we could get to that point where we're ready to grow and kind of see things openly, and not keep thinking about how things are supposed to be, because that's a big fault of Kelera's, is she has this idea of how things are supposed to be and what she's supposed to do. So much so that she's not really open to the truth or any other ideas. So I could, Drass kept telling her, let it go, and that, you can be whoever you want. But just having, people tell you that all the time. They're like, you don't have to be perfect. You're fine, and you don't really feel it. She had to experience it. So when she got back, she realized how much she had changed, how things were never really what she thought they were there, especially in the the biggest way, the fiance betrayal. So, I think she needed that.
Well, even with the messaging of, like, if you think of, she was like, I'm not dealing with bullies. I've been bullied my whole life. And she really thought, and I feel like a lot of us go through this too, or maybe not a lot of us, some of us have gone through that experience of, well, if I just do this thing, I'll be accepted by the people I want to be accepted by. I just have to do this thing, and then they'll see the truth, and they'll see like my sincerity to it. And then she goes, and she has, and they're like, yeah, they created their own narrative. Everything that you did was for shit, and you still need to save face. And it's like, Drass didn't want her. He's like, please, just, here is safe. We love you for who you are. You don't have to be this whatever you think you need to be. You don't have to prove yourself to anybody. She's like, but I have to. And he's like, all right, like, I get it. Like, your dad's there too. So there's like, obviously there are layers.
Yeah.
And she goes back and to what you both were saying with like the stark difference. It's like, oh, I can't believe the thing that everybody told me was going to happen actually happened. Whoops. I fucked up there.
Yeah.
But she said, like, but she's also the type of person, she's like, she had to experience it her own way. She wasn't going to listen to anybody else until she did it this way.
Exactly. Yeah.
But, something that I really loved is we have our man doing the portrayal. Of course, that's fine. But we have Serene standing up being like, no. Absolutely not. This is not what happened. All of you need to listen to me. Oh, you're not slap. I don't need to deal with you. You need to deal with me. You're in here with me. Like, no, she was amazing. And I love that consistent, unshakable belief and friendship there that Serene had no reassurance either. But amazing, incredible.
Yeah.
And thank you for not killing her off.
Yes.
I haven't read book 3. I hope you didn't yet. But it was like, she even said, Kelera was like, I didn't know if you made it. I just pushed you with the hope that you would make it. And she came back and was like, yes, she's alive. She didn't die. And even when she comes back, she goes, here I was going to save you. And of course you're saving yourself. Again. What do you need me for? But again, it's like that strong female friendship that they're still there for us. At no point where they're like, a man is going to save me. No, they were still going to save each other.
Yeah. She actually hit Scadrial with a rock because she's like, who are you? And she's like, oh, you're here to help her? Well, we're fine. We don't need you.
Yeah, what are you doing here? Hi. He's like, I didn't know you were going to be here. Hi again. Nice to see you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I really wanted to show that fierceness. And like, Serene doesn't get a lot of like on page time, but I really, when I do have her there, I really want everyone to feel that like fierce, loyal, like friendship that we all crave. And that not everyone is lucky enough to find in this lifetime. So.
Because Kelera comes back and she's like, are you okay? Your dad said you were a little like kind of acting a little kooky, and then Kelera's like giving her truth, and she's like, do you hate me? Do I sound weird? Like, please, I'm totally fine. This is totally normal. She's like, yeah, I believe you. It's just a lot. But we also have to get out of here.
Yeah.
the consistent female friendship is really wonderful because Kelera does spend a lot of time with the boys, right? We're with the boys a lot. So to have this kind of beacon in a world where she thought that was going to be not necessarily a refuge, but she thought she was going to go and like really help and like really kind of be an agent of change there. And it was just like, no, that's not the case. But your loyalty and your friendship, though, that is still there. And oh, by the way, Dodger is still your number one. Like, I love it. It's also very sweet. And he's like, you know, we've got your back. Like, you know, we're in this together. Like, you know, it's us. That was really lovely as well. You said that the politics were kind of a struggle here. Let me tell you, I didn't think so. I wanted to say, I thought it was hilarious where you were like, you know what? That's kind of an unnatural relationship that I put with the mother and Cain. I'm going to say it on page. That's weird. I laughed so hard.
Because I feel like you alluded that to the first one. Yeah. You were like, I didn't realize.
No, I totally didn't mean to write it that way in book one. And then I was like, well, that's what it is. So I was like, I feel like someone needs to call him out on it. Like, well, someone should say something. I really did enjoy writing that confrontation scene in the fall court manor. Because I don't know. I just really like having Beatrice and Cain and Samael all in the same room because they're all just so horrible, like in their own ways. And it's just a fun dynamic to play with. Like because they don't even like each other. Like even his own mom, they don't like each other at all. There's nothing holding them together except the crown, the fact that they all want like a piece of it.
Well, and then like Samael has, you know, he's obviously like leading the charge and I want, you know, he's like the, I think it's the Kylo Ren meme where he's like, more, I want more and I want this and and you have Drass. He's like, what else do you want? He goes, I've already had a taste and I want the stars. I want the this. I was like, This reminds me of like Jafar where he's like phenomenal cosmic power. And he's like, dude, I'm not going to. And then, like, he has this power, and even the mom, she's like, oh, why did you let this happen? He goes, because you didn't make me the number one heir the first time. This is actually all of your fault, mother.
Yes, they're just, like, so rotten. Both, like, clearly apples from the same tree.
I could see it, like, play out, and, like, you want to watch it on screen. I'm like, this would be so good.
Yeah, it'd be like great reality television. Like, just their family.
Mother.
Yes. Yeah. And then I love, like, I just really, like, Drass. He's really just fine with what he has. Like, he is, like, so good. He's just
humble king.
Yes. And his family.
And everyone's like, this is what he's like, this is what everybody's telling him. Like, this is exactly why you would make a great leader. He's like, no, I just want to vibe.
Oh, can I tell you something that I really appreciated when everyone, multiple times throughout the book, people were like, oh my gosh, like the lost heir, who's the lost heir? And Claire's like, yo, Jax, like, is it you? I really, really appreciated that directness where it's like, let's just get this out of the way. Like, is it? Mm-hmm. And he's like, no, it's not me. It's a myth. It doesn't exist. Like it's okay.
Doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
we haven't read book 3.
Okay. But I really appreciated that where this like direct line of questioning, kind of going back to the confrontation scene too. Can you talk to me a little bit about the magical bindings? Because I really appreciated when Kelera was like, I'm going to do a bargain and I'm learning how to do it. And Samael tries to bind with her and he can't supersede the bond that she already has with Drax. I really liked that. And it was honestly something I wasn't expecting. I thought like maybe there was going to be some sort of like power play, but it was like, nah, loyal. I loved it. I loved it. Can you talk to us a little bit about this?
Well, I think I chose to do it that way because like deals in Elfhame are binding. Like it's done. Even if you accidentally say something the wrong way, it doesn't matter. It's done. Like you're bound. You say thank you. You owe that person. You're acknowledging that you owe that person something. So you do. So I really wanted it to be strong. I did do this scene because I wanted Samael he has no idea. And I kind of just wanted the satisfaction of everyone, like myself and everyone else watching him find out and being really upset. But yeah, I mean, what's bound can't be broken except in death. So I just knew that their magic, it's almost like more meaningful than marriage. So, and it's not, I didn't want to go the fated mates route. Not because I don't like the trope, but it just...
Do we know if they are? Can you tell us if they are? Or is that like a spoiler? Like, I will not confirm nor deny. I mean, actually, don't tell me. I don't want to even look at your face. I'll find out in book 3.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know if... yeah, you'll have to tell me what you think. But I just knew that the binding, I really wanted it and I wanted it to be, it's a big deal that she did that with him. And so if I had made it possible for someone to take that from them or to insert themselves into the bond and stuff, I just felt like it wouldn't be as heavy. You know, I just wanted it to be it was a huge commitment. And she did it with a man she did not fully know, whose family had, I mean, he kidnapped her too. He was there. He brought her back on the horse. So yeah, I just wanted it to be very in your face.
It was intentional too.
And special.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I thought we might lose some of that if I didn't make it, you know, what's done is done.
And it's really lovely too, because we know, because this is, you know, a love story as well. We know that Kelera's like getting kind of accepting this as a love story, kind of as we are as well, because she does catch herself like just staring at stubble. She's like, he hasn't shaved it a little bit. That's lovely. What am I doing? I'm on an adventure. I can't just like gaze at him. My goodness. Then we get later in the book where she's like, no, I love this man. Like, I love this man. I appreciate this man. Like, he's a good man. I really want to be with him and experience all of this. And that was really lovely. So tell me, how you wrote such lovely, tactful, glorious spice scenes.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you. Well, you know, we had a slow burn build up in book 1. So, I knew that we were going to come to like that point where it just seemed right. I did not want it to be forced. I didn't want to, you know, throw them into bed for the sake of doing it, especially because it's her first. And it just, the scene felt right when I got there. And
there were so many almost moments too.
Yeah.
Like with the kiss that you're just like, ugh. So it was like, and I feel like that helped her with like accepting that she was like, oh crap, I really am. I am falling for this guy. I am in love with this. Is this what love is?
Yeah, because she's really not sure. And I do feel like a lot of people have been there too, you know? So yeah, it just came out that way because it felt very natural to her journey. And then as you might have noticed, I don't do very, very explicit spice. That's a me thing because I don't know what words to use.
It was lovely. It was honestly, it doesn't need to be excessive either. Like, it's just like, it was very beautiful, shared moments that they were having.
Yeah. And I did want to, I think I do this in a lot of my books, maybe not so much the new ones that are coming out because those are a tad spicier. But I really tend to lean into the emotional side of it, and not so much like the physical, where are we and what are we doing? That's also I have trouble blocking those things out in my mind. I'm like losing track of limbs. So, so I just
where did that one come from? I thought she had 2 arms.
Yes. So it just kind of, that's just how I wrote to my comfort level. 'Cause what I read and what I write very different. But yeah, so I was happy with it. I do believe you'll get a few more scenes of that in book 3. So
They love being interrupted though. They waited, they got walked in on the next morning, or when they have a reunion, I was like, oh man, no time for no rest.
No,
they gotta keep going. There's a world to save.
Yeah, that is pretty much a running theme because it's not getting any easier in book 3, unfortunately for them.
Would you like to go to a fairy revel? Because the one that you wrote sounds lovely.
Yes. A real one? No. Because if you read other folklore, it's definitely more dangerous. But in this instance, I didn't want to make it incredibly dangerous with the beans that you see there, or she could eat the food, but it's because she is half fae. So she doesn't experience the same sort of danger as Serene would have if she had gone to the revel. And that's a big thing. She probably should have taken it easy on the elf wine. So I did kind of still include some of that, but I don't think I would fare as well as she did at the revel.
It seems so much fun too. And of course we're at the revel and we have politics at the revel as well. Let me tell you, I was not expecting that. I was expecting some sort of assassin. I was expecting a spy. I was not expecting to meet our person that's going to move our plot forward a little bit. I was just like, wow, what a first impression there. How fun. I would die. Mortifying. But also endearing and lovely. And again, very much in the spirit. I also just want to say thank you for including Beltane in this. How fun.
Yeah.
Right? Just how lovely too. And I also like Kelera being like, have I been celebrating my birthday in the wrong season? My whole, that was just so fun. All of this was so fun. Do you have, old timey holidays like that you really enjoy, or is just Beltane just that one?
No, I tend to, I grew up Catholic, so we did all of the, traditional stuff and the saints days, which I always thought was very fun because it's extra little things sprinkled throughout the year. But as I got older and I learned about all these other cultures and holidays that were celebrated a long time ago, I've started to kind of you really don't need a reason to make a day special, but I'm all about themed foods and themed drinks. So when things like Beltane come around, I'm very much talk to the kids about it, about why people celebrate this. My friends and I do full moon parties. We
Fun.
Yeah, we the last one, it was for the strawberry moon. So we did strawberry themed foods and drinks, and we sat outside under the moon and read tarot and things like that. So I honestly, any chance to celebrate, I'm in.
Are you doing the super moon tomorrow or no? Because it's first day of school.
No, yeah, it's the first day of school, but because we went out last night to celebrate one of our friends' birthdays, and I saw that there's a boat. They do a moonlight cruise. So we're going to see if they're going to do it for the next full moon too. And maybe.
Yeah. Oh, how fun.
Cruise.
That is really fun.
Oh my gosh. I know when I lived in Germany, in the village that I lived in, there were maypoles everywhere. And so on May Day, it was a huge, big celebration. So that was so fun. So that's what you're saying, Beltane. I was like, oh, yes, of course. I have my own little story about that. That was just so fun. I love to see that included. So this world that we have created, we are still on our way. And when we get to the Spring Court, we have very large beings here. And we have kind of throughout our story been talking about like, by the way, kind of creepy, kind of not. But there are just like, ancient beings just kind of like looking, doing things. There are large beings in the forest. Wow, are they? All of this was very special and very exciting. And then, of course, we get towards the end of our book. You leave us on a cliffhanger, as you do. It was so exciting. It was very exciting just for me because Kelera does not understand what is going on, but it is very clear to us in the reader that Drax does. He's like, yep, I get it. So we can guess what that was. But when you were kind of like building all of this towards this ending, like, were you excited? Because this is so much fun.
I was. I definitely sprinkled in, if you read the book or listened to the book, I would say that a lot of things that we came across, we will be seeing in book 3 for one reason or another. All of this is leading up to, Samael's big day. So I sprinkled a lot of that in there, knowing that Elfhame is just going to like really come to life in this next book. It's all been kind of written, which is why some people like Drass or the others kind of have their own thoughts on what's happening. They are a little more knowledgeable than her, although they're not really sure because there's so many. Their world is made up of stories and prophecies and tales and things like that. So they don't fully know what's going to happen, but they will. They're about to.
And prophecies, like riddles, are something that I never try to figure out in books because I'm just not a smart person. But I am so excited about this prophecy, about what is going on. And the ending of this book, I was just like absolutely thrilled. The kind of conclusion that we have here is setting up, we're in the audio, think audio, setting up for book 3. And I just want to ask, book 3, that was very quickly, right? Right after this one, you're a very busy person. I am so excited about book 3 that I think I might just go pick up a traditional copy so that I know what's going on, so that I can relax a little bit. And then I can enjoy the audio when it comes out a little bit later, because I am so invested in the story. I'm invested in Kelera's growth. I'm invested in the romance, but I'm also invested in the found family. And I am also invested in what tropes you could possibly put into book 3, because let me tell you, I loved the one bed trope that you threw in here. What's that? It's a bed. And
that was definitely like me being a little
amazing.
cheeky too. I was like,
it was so smart because, like Laura pointed out earlier, she goes, "It's a bed. We've been sleeping together this whole time. This time it's just going to be on a mattress, not the floor, not the dirt."
But it felt different. It felt different to her. She was like,
"What's that?"
Yeah. And I feel like Drass is like he's a smart ass. So he was like, Kelera.
They both balance each other out. That's really ultimately what it is, because I don't want to say that they're opposites, and they don't challenge. Like, once they communicate, they're like, oh, that makes sense. We both make sense. I mean, there's a line that I think she was talking to Gadriel, and she goes, y'all are so cool and so nice and so like being amongst your family. how did you two end up like this?
Yeah.
And he's like, we had each other. Like, that's legit all we had. You know, they were like, we saw that and we didn't want to be like that. So, you know, and I feel like you can tell, like, they're both, he holds that so close to him. Drast is like, I'm not worthy of this. I'm not, when you're like, dude, it wasn't your choice. And that you have even remorse for anything.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the good ones.
I know. And we do explore a little more, a tad more about like his past in book 3. So I'll say that, you know, we're at this point at the end of book 2, we are in the spring court. And we're going to kind of see a little more of his struggle too, his own personal, because just like Kelera and her, like, in her mind thinking that she needs to be perfect, Drast has struggled for a long time thinking that he is just like unworthy because of these things he did, because where he came from. And like you said, it's not his fault. It's just how he was raised. But he, you know, he's not really perfect. He's very supportive of her, but he has his own stuff going on. And we get to kind of see her help him work through that as well.
What was surprising for you about this recording process that you, I mean, with Ali, with the procedure, like the fact that the book was there anything different the second time around with the audio that was either easier, there was a familiarity compared to the first time recording it? Well, first time recording book 1.
Yeah, I think, I mean, my job's already done. You know what I mean?
So you don't have to like go in and like critique or edit or anything?
I have to, she sends me the files. I listen to them. That is a challenging part because there's always going to be something that I think I could have done differently or I could have done better, or even like word choice. Maybe I wouldn't have worded it like that, or, you know, small things like that. So I have to very much get out of like my author head and get into like a reader state of mind and just, do I notice any voices that, like, did she forget to use a voice that she used on this person? Things like that. So, yeah. But other than that, I mean, she's got the hard part.
And that's just being like our own biggest critic.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that is so interesting. Wow. Thank you for sharing that little like insider thing. I think I would die if I had to listen to like my own work back to me and not be able to fix it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To put aside the author and put on the reader hat. I don't know if I would be able to do that, me personally. But you are a better person than I. That is, you know,
No.
well
It was
established. We know this. We know this. So as we are wrapping here, you know, we were looking and we noticed that you have a new release. We have a Crown Forged in Flame. This is Daughters of the Flame, book 1. How about you just take a little bit of time and talk to us about this new release that you have, because we adore you and we want to know everything that you're doing.
Episode. Yeah.
Thank you. So that one just came out on audio as well. I accidentally did a double feature because Allie is like Superwoman and got it back to me before I thought she would. And then I had this other one lined up with this amazing narrator who had auditioned through Audible. And I just love her. I adore her. She was very, very amazing to work with too. And so Daughters of the Flame, it's going to be 3 books in the series. The first one follows Adelina. She's been trying to wake her family's dragon for years, and it's just not working. Her magic isn't strong enough. So she's offered this like marriage proposal in exchange for helping to give her magic kind of like a battery boost to wake her family's dragon. But she cannot stand him. And she doesn't want to get married and be told what to do by a man. She is very stubborn. I will warn the readers about that now. She is also not a perfect main character. She makes many a mistake, but she does learn from it. So it is a fun journey. And then book 2 is going to follow her daughter, which I'm really excited about because then I get to explore a new
Wait, is this the trilogy that was this the trilogy we were talking about in the first episode where it was going to be like the grandmother?
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Is there? Okay. That's really cool. And like the grandma's like it's almost like a prequel of sorts or something.
Yeah, we'll go back and see her grandmother's love stories. So, and then I do have a book releasing September 3rd. This is my first cozy fantasy romance. So it's called A Recipe for Magic and Mayhem. And it all takes place in the same like fairy tale village. It's very like Bridgerton style. So again, we're going to have different couples throughout. And these will be people that we'll see in each book. Like the first book is one couple and the second book is like her best friend and her love story. And so I'm really excited about that one too. Low stakes, no spice in the first one because it did not feel right for this character, but maybe in the following books, we'll see.
You are
Keep yourself
so busy.
Oh my gosh. How do you like, this is why you need to like, just, you have to get like your street team. Cause you're also doing conventions. Didn't you just go to like your first convention this past summer in DC?
This is my second convention. I did Imaginarium.
Oh, okay.
In DC. It was so much fun.
So Imaginarium was the second convention. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, and then you did Books, Crowns, and I feel like I'm mixing them.
The year before.
Okay.
Yeah, and then,
okay, so that was your first Imaginary. Okay.
Yeah, and I'll be at A Million Lives in Baltimore in next May, or this. Next May. Yeah, right, I just don't sleep very much.
Sleep who needs it, right?
Who needs it? Yeah. Well, we are glad that you do stay up late and write because we love this series. We love you. And we are so happy that you are booked and busy and that we can just continue reading everything that you write. That is just so lovely. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
And let us know where we can find you. Like, we know, and we'll make sure it's all in the show notes, but like, where can we, like, all listeners, where can we find you? Where do you prefer?
Yeah, I've been spending most of my time on Bookstagram right now. I did join Threads, but I don't know what I'm doing. I'm 32.
Do any of us?
I don't know. I don't know how to work it. So, yeah, Instagram.
I think it's like how Twitter used to originally be. That's kind of how you're like, oh, here's a thought.
Yeah, I've never done Twitter. So I'm like, I don't know what. Okay. Are my thoughts too random? I don't know what I should share and what I shouldn't.
I think that's the place I think that's exactly where Threads is like the more random, the better.
The better. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, Instagram, TikTok. I do have a readers group on Facebook. I've been trying to post there more and give like little behind the scenes and sneak peeks and stuff.
I love Facebook for that. You get those like inside scoops. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for joining us. I know, like, I know you don't need sleep, but maybe we can get an hour for you. But thanks for taking the time today.
Thank you.
And like JM said, make sure you check her out on all of her socials. We'll make sure those are in our show notes. And please feel free to follow us. We're at ACOFAE Podcast on Instagram, and we're both on TikTok, ACOFAE Laura and ACOFAE Jessica. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.